welcome to episode 100. Okay, you guys can clap for that. Yes. So I decided to just to do something a little bit fun for this episode and invite, approximately 50 of my friends. And truly celebrate this, not just this accomplishment, because it's not just my accomplishment, it's not just my milestone, but truly celebrate this community that has grown globally because of this beautiful platform called podcasting. And if you don't know, obviously you know this is episode 100, and this all started less than a year ago. And I actually shared something on Facebook. We're recording this about, a few weeks early. And I shared something on social media this morning about how exciting it is to be at this point. And also what people don't see is the 5 years before that I had podcast equipment collecting dust in a closet because I was afraid. I was afraid to put myself out there. I was afraid of what people would think. I really thought no one would like what I had to say. And I think all of us can relate to those dreams of ours that we put on the back burner because of the stories that we tell ourselves. So that's why we had to celebrate this milestone, because it easily could have not happened had I continued to listen to all of the reasons why I wasn't ready. And so I want to introduce some very, very special guests. And we thought what would be the most fun way to celebrate this milestone is to bring in a few women from our Powerhouse Women community and just really have a conversation about some of the real stuff that I know, just some of the real things that we all go through on a daily basis. Because at the end of the day, I want you to know that no matter where you're at on your journey, you're so not alone. If you're still the one with podcast equipment collecting dust, you're so not alone. Ooh, someone just laughed. I'm like, I feel like I'm outing people now. And so I thought it would be way more fun to talk to my friends than just hear my own voice. So I'm actually going to have them introduce themselves to you, but I'm going to tell you who they are, because if you're listening to this in just audio, you don't see them. This is like a big reveal. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to start at the end with the woman who is actually podcast guest number 1. She was episode number 2 because my guest episodes are even numbers, but she was my very, very first podcast guest and someone who I knew more women just needed to know about. She is the designer of my very favorite handbags, and I have now turned myself into her unofficial PR. I send her videos all the time of me like I will stop in the Mac store and people are like asking me about my bag, and I give them like a full sales pitch on why they should buy one. So Sage Aubrey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. You know how much I love you.
I do. We're making eyes at each other right now. Is it uncomfortable for anyone else?
You guys know how much I love all of you in this whole Powerhouse community as well. You guys have been a huge advocate of Sage Aubrey and building the Sage Squad, and I am like a diehard of Lindsay and everyone that she cultivates. It's a super big deal. And all of you guys being here and not only supporting her, but us sitting up here tonight and each other is really how we build success. And I learned that just through starting to cultivate relationships and creating my own girl gang. So I'm so appreciative of being here, and thank you so much. And obviously I'll chill out a little bit and become more Sage.
No, well, she'll probably be the first one to drop an F-bomb.
Probably.
I mean, let's just put money on it right now. Yeah.
Probably.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so sitting to her left is someone who really came into my life more recently. And when you meet those women who have such a big impact in such a short period of time, this is one where I really believe like God just knew we both needed each other in each other's lives. We met through Lululemon. I'm a has-been. We both were / are Lululemon ambassadors. And she does really incredible work. She's such a trailblazer in her industry. She works in the area of executive coaching, leadership coaching. She works with some of the most high-profile athletes as one of the first women to break into the industry. In fact, you were like the first female occupational therapist to break into the NBA. I should probably let you say it, but and truly just one of the most kind-hearted people that I've ever met. So I'm excited for her to be here. We call her Coach Dar. You don't even need a last name. You're just Coach Dar. Yes. So do you want to just say hi and introduce yourself a little bit?
Well, that was just what Lindsay said is there is just a connection that you meet with people. And I think life is really about that. And so I really think the meaning of family is those that you connect with. That, yes, we have family, that's our blood, but then we have family that is our family that we get to choose. And while God chose us to become family, it was one of those things where I felt like she was my sister instantly. I just knew it when I met her, and we knew that we would connect and align in life, and sure enough, it just did. And I just love everything that you're doing, Lindsay. I'm so proud of you. I like completely celebrate this 100th, and I hope I'm here when you're doing your 1,000 and then your 7,000, and it just keeps growing. And I'm so grateful for the women that you've introduced me to, for the family that this has continued to grow, because I was just sharing with someone earlier that loneliness is the #1 epidemic that is out there. And the only way we're going to help in cultivating and shift that is through community. And that's what Powerhouse Women is all about. It's the community. And I am honored to be a part of this, because I often have to be on the go a lot, but I always know I could come home to my community. And that makes me feel stronger and happier and joyful inside, because when you have family, you just feel strong inside, because you're like, anything could happen. You know what? My family's got my back. I feel great. That's what we have here at Powerhouse Women. And Lindsay, I just want to say thank you for creating it. And I love you.
Love you right back. This all of a sudden turned into like people saying nice things about me, and I'm not mad about it. Okay, so Aisha, tell me what you have to say that's nice about me. No, I'm just kidding. Okay,
so that's a tough act to follow. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, wait, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? Now really, what am I going to say?
Okay, so my next guest and final panelist is Aisha, one half of Creative Label. We're giving a shout out to Des,
shout
because
out to you, Desiree.
She is one half of the team that when I say, like, there have been people who've come along this journey that have truly been like a paradigm shift. And I'll never forget coming to Aisha and saying, hey, I'm going to launch this podcast. Maybe you guys could like design a little something. And she, because of the professional that you are, you said, we could design your podcast graphic, yes, but can we share with you the vision that we actually see for your brand? We want Powerhouse Women to look like it could be in front of 1 million eyeballs. And that's the future we see for you. And having someone care about my brand as much as I do completely shifted things for me, because I think it's so easy to almost like undermine our own work because we're so close to it. But having you and Des really see a vision for what this could become, and then helping me visually translate it, which I've already shared I'm not great at, has been such a game changer. You've helped me see my own brand as really the brand that I want us to be going forward. So you can introduce yourself, and you don't have to say nice things about me. I already know we love each other.
Yes, we do love each other. So as Lindsay mentioned, I am Aisha, and I'm one half of Creative Label. My co-founder, Destiny, not Desiree. I call her Desiree, and so many people call her Desiree, and she's like, everyone thinks my name is Desiree because of you. So Destiny, when you see her, she's my other half. But yes, we met, I think it was in April, when you...
Was it really?
I think so. And you came to our office and you're like, hi, I saw your outfits and I just had to come say hi. Yeah, I think it was April. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I remember those jeans too. I really like those jeans that she's talking about. I was like, if she likes our fashion, I think we're a great team of friends. And so she let us know, hey, I have this podcast. Will you design the artwork, as she mentioned? And me and Des were like, should we tell her, like, we can do a lot more if she just lets us? And we did. And you're like, okay. And it was like the easiest thing ever. And usually, you get nervous, like, hey, how am I going to pitch this like huge idea? But you believed in us. And I can't tell you, I know my purpose is to help people visualize their business. But when someone is like, I see that this is your zone of genius, go, no limitations. I can't tell you how fulfilled that makes me and everyone on my team to be able to work in our zone of genius and just create for people, especially when we're like aligned with what the vision is. And so thank you for introducing me to this amazing community, because all of you guys are insanely amazing and like literally like the best like badass community ever. Like when you introduce us to these people and everyone's like, oh, Lindsay loves you, I love you, and I'm like, oh wow, this is great. I now have like all these new like Powerhouse Women friends and I love it. So thank you for allowing me to be here and share this moment with you today, because I know it's a really big deal. If we think about April, right, when we had Canva artwork and we're like, we can make this way better, just let us.
She goes, I mean, it's good, but it looks like you designed it in Canva. And I go, oh, I did. I was actually real proud of that.
Love Canva, by the way, if you're listening. I love Canva.
Yes, sponsor us, please.
Yes.
But okay, that actually is funny, because what I didn't tell you is that I hired Tessa when I saw her hair flip. I hired Des and Aisha, or at least contacted them, from one photo. And you guys know I've been talking about this whole idea of like styling your higher self. There was something about their vibe. I was like, them. I want them to be in my life. How do I make it happen? Right. But what she said is true, and I've shared about this before. Truly, why this has grown to the rate that it has is because I learned really quickly to find people who were geniuses in the areas that I'm just not good at. Designing my own stages. There's so many other things. Producing my own podcast. And I hire them and then I get out of their way. I let them be geniuses at what they're geniuses at. And I guess that's probably smart. So life tip there, folks.
Let the genius be genius.
So I really want to hear from you all. And this, I mean, I truly just want this to be like a very open, casual conversation. Like I'm not going to like grill you, anything like that. I really want to give people a sense though of what it does look and feel like behind the scenes. You know, people can easily see what we're doing on the surface on social media and not necessarily get to see, right, the true journey of what it took to get there. And when I was thinking about tonight and thinking about all of you, this word of trailblazer like really was like so there, so present, because you've each done that in your own way. And so what I would love for you to each share, and we'll just kind of like go in that same order so people can identify which voices they're hearing, is what do you wish more people knew about what it took for you to get where you're at right now? Like, what do you wish more people could actually see about that journey?
Well, what's interesting is Dar and I were just talking, and we were talking actually about your 100th episode and the consistency of creating that. And I think the biggest thing that I found with success, because I'm certainly not the most talented, I'm certainly not the most funded, I'm certainly not of anything that's better than any single person. Actually, in fact, I was probably more of an underdog. But I show up every day and I learn to master things really, really, really quick. And I mean that in the most humble way ever. If I'm like, okay, I don't know how to market my own product. I don't know how to sell actually what I'm creating. I better figure that out in negative fucking, I said it first, 2 seconds.
There she is.
And so I think one of the biggest things is just committing to something, saying, okay, I'm not great at this, but I want to be really good at it. And what I can tell you is that most successful entrepreneurs that I know self-teach them a lot of things. And they dig in really, really deep, and they get quick and nimble in what they do. And so I think that's one thing that I do. I'm like, okay, I do this not very good. And until I could hire somebody to come in and take over these certain things that I wasn't good at, I had to get really quick on my feet and learn how to do something really, really good, really, really fast. So that would be one of like, I think the first things about kind of me building success in what I've done was like being really nimble and digging in really, really deep, and then implementing those things and being consistent, like not consistent, kind of like consistent, like a psychopath. Yeah. And that really, like, all I can say is that it becomes not just consistent, it becomes an obsession. And that obsession eventually turns into success, which isn't always should be glorified, because there is a lot of sacrifice in what all of us are building in here and all of us have built up here personally.
I love that so much, and that's a lot of like the behind the scenes that not many of us get to see in someone else's journey. So Dar, you are a trailblazer for all the reasons I was saying earlier, and you've shared some cool stories with me about, not cool, but I'm like, no, actually they're not cool, about like being in the Suns arena and being mistaken for someone's like assistant when you were actually like you flew with the team for years and worked with these athletes on their mental game. So what do you wish more people knew about just what it took for you to break into that industry?
That's a really good question. And, in my space, being a female in a male-dominated sport, and it really took I have to start with my faith, and that I really believe with all my heart. I walk around with a God confidence. It's not cocky. It's a God confidence that I say to myself, God, if you brought me here and you've equipped me and I stay in my lane, I'm not going to be someone that I'm not, then I'm going to show up with everything I have and I'm going to commit. And then I have a confidence knowing that I know what I'm going to deliver because you gave it to me. So therefore I could stand on my feet and I could offer and add value to people's lives without feeling scared about it or nervous or that I shouldn't be there. So you could imagine what Lindsay was saying is, there have been many, many times being a woman walking into arenas. Like I said, I flew with the team and I'm going all over, and I've walked into arenas where security has literally followed me and said, ma'am, what are you doing here? And I'm like, I'm one of the coaches. And they're like, what do you do? And they literally were like grabbing my credential. And I'm like, I'm their mental conditioning coach. I'm their peak performance coach. And I had a gentleman say to me, and they listen to you as a woman? And I was like, yes, they do. And so, what I learned too is don't take offense because people are coming from their belief system or where they are. And so when you don't take offense to it or take it personal, you just say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure where that's coming from, but who do you go to? Who brought you up, which was usually your mom, your grandmother, your aunt, your sister, someone. Like, who do you talk to? And in the world I live in, a lot of times that's what they grew up with, is someone who they could talk to in a female space, by the way. And I've had it too where I've been on the plane and the pilot has pulled me aside and said, hey, there's 4 women on the plane. What are you all doing? Are you the wives? And I said, no, we're not. And I said, she's the journalist. She's the massage therapist. She's our VP of communications. And so he says, well, what do you do? And I said the same thing. I'm a coach. And he said the same thing. He goes, and they listen to you. And so there's a stereotype, right? But what you do, the journalist that was behind me, she was younger and she's like, I would have ripped his head off. And I was like, don't do that. You are going to feed into the stereotype, right? You just show up and you offer solutions or advice, or you encourage them. You tell them, why you're there, and you believe in yourself. And so whatever you face, I've been told to get the F out of the locker room by someone who didn't believe a woman should be in there, and the players all rallied around me and they stood up for me because we were a family. So you just stand in your truth, and that's not going to, hey, I'm Italian. That's not going to say that I didn't want to bite back. But there was a time when someone had said that to me, and one of the players kind of looked at me and he messaged me that night and he said, Coach Dar, we want you to know that we love you and we got your back and we're sorry we didn't say something, but when you walked out of the room, we knew you'd be Coach Dar and you'd be positive and let it roll off your shoulder. And I said, hey, I am Italian, but I did keep my mouth shut. And I said, you remember when they go low, you go high, right? And he goes, good job, coach, good job. But my point is that was a teachable moment, because if I snapped back at that moment, someone and their whatever reason thought that I needed to be removed because I was a woman, I would have, when I'm coaching them and I say, hey, don't get a technical and lose your temper and, let it go. Like, I'm always talking about emotional resiliency and neutrality and how you control and all of that. I would have shown the complete opposite of what I was coaching and speaking. So it was a teachable moment in that time. And I'm always thinking that of in situations about how can I show a better path? And it starts with me. Because if I'm going to say it, I need to do it. And so I would say it comes from having a God confidence and believing in the skill that you've been given. And then the other part is working your tail off at the skill you've been given. He doesn't just give that to us and say like, okay, like go surf now. He's like, no, you hone it and you make it great. Because like there's a standard of excellence that I believe in. And I believe we all should be the best version we can be, not just take us where we are, but go be the best version and then deliver that, because people are counting on us to deliver our talent to help their life. So I take it very serious and have fun too.
Do you see like why I just want to be around her all the time now? I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing a podcast. That's right. I love that. And I've had a chance to really see firsthand how she lives her life, because she invited me to a Suns game. And then she was like, oh, by the way, we're sitting courtside. I was like studying up on like who the players were. But so we had this amazing experience, and she has like personal relationships with some of like the players that are being paid millions and millions of dollars. But she also said hello and greeted every single person holding a door, cleaning a bathroom. Like, she built relationships within the entire organization, and that's what I respect most about how you've built your career and your business. So I'm glad I got to share that.
You have to come back with me now.
I know. She was like, we definitely will like be seen on the cameras, like on ESPN. So just like, I'm trying not to be like on my phone. I'm like, God, this is intense. You guys know I was just hoping to see the Golden Grannies, and they weren't there that night. So we got to go back. Yeah. Okay. So Aisha, you and I have gotten to know each other like really well, and have gotten to share just some of these, really the bumps in the road, and some of the things, the hard stuff that people don't necessarily get to see, whether it be like with relationships or, the hiring process, all of the things that actually go into scaling and building a business. And so I feel like I've gotten a front row seat to watching Creative Label grow. What do you wish more people really knew about what that journey has been like?
I would say that I wish people knew that it's not as easy as it looks, and it requires you to get out of your own way, literally. And so the first one is, it's not as easy, meaning everyone's like, wow, you're an entrepreneur. How cool is that? You wake up whenever you want. You work whenever you want. You can vacation whenever you want.
Like cute.
Yeah, cute. But I'm literally, my husband's like, hey, can we hang out for a little bit? And I'm like, after this email, I swear. And then like 3 hours later, he's like, can we hang out for a little bit? So it's not easy finding a balance. Like Coach Dar said, my faith is huge too. Finding a balance, being a Christian, being a wife, being a business partner, being a friend, being a daughter, and figuring out how to, and I don't like to use the word juggle, but jump between those different lanes and be in that lane only. And so I don't think I've mastered quite yet being a wife and entrepreneur and being in that lane only, because like I told you, my husband's like, hey, do you have a couple minutes to chat? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, what are you saying? And still typing the email. Like I've mastered. Wow.
Like, is Elliot in here right now? He doesn't need to hear this.
Right? Really? And then he'll ask a question and I have no clue that he's at, yeah, wow, still typing. So that's hard, right? Because you care about your business. You care about all of the other relationships that you have. But managing those, making time for them is really hard. So yeah, on social media, it might look like we have it together, but like a lot of times I'm like crumbling. Like we were just talking about like how to stay above water every day. I feel like, yeah, like next week I will be like neck at the water and I can like breathe, and it's always like right at the nose every week. It's just a lot, right? And so I wish people knew that was a lot always. And if you are also experiencing a lot, as you famously say, you're not alone, right? And then the second portion is that getting out of your own way. That is probably one of the most difficult things to do. And working in PR, marketing, and branding, I see so many people in their own way, and I'm like, I remember when I was in my own way, like still in my own way. It's hard. It's hard to get out of your own way and to self-reflect. It's very confronting. But I do know that like every level, new devil, right? Whatever that quote is. Every time I'm like absolutely in my own way and then confront that portion of myself and say, hey, figure it out. Like, this is not how you act in business, or this is not how you communicate. Or maybe someone else communicates a little bit differently. How can you meet them where they're at in their communication style and then deliver in whatever element that is? If that's branding, if that's problem solving, or, conflict resolution, those things are really hard. And I wish people came to the table with that. Like, how can I walk in the door and say, let me get out of my own way right now before I sit at this table and meet? And you can't even imagine, like, when I fix my mindset and if I know, hey, this is going to be a tough one, or hey, this is our 45th logo revision and I'm really trying to get what you want done, right? How can I get out of my own way and meet you where you're at so that I can understand exactly what you want and deliver that for you, because that's my purpose. So getting out of my own way is really tough. And I know it's tough for a lot of people. And so I wish people knew that, like, we actively try to get out of our own way, and it would be helpful if we all kind of knew what was even in the way to get out of it. And then balance.
Yeah, I can relate on all of those. And actually, your comment about balance is what I wanted to ask next roundabout, is something I'm actually working on balancing more this year, is having more fun. I'm like looking for Elliot. Is he not here? He hears me talk enough. But I like lovingly refer to him as my fun coach. Anyone else have like that partner that's the perfect balance for you? Anyone else have that? Yeah, and I need a fun coach, because it's sad when people ask me like what my hobbies are, I'm like, working, making spreadsheets. And so it is something that I'm, because I'm in this season where I love what I'm doing. Like, to the point where even weeks where I feel like I get to the end of a week, I think I'm there right now. And I'm like, wow, I gave everything. I feel like a towel that was like fully wrung out. I gave it all. And when I look back, there used to be times where I would look back and see, okay, I could have said no to that. Maybe I shouldn't have committed to that thing. But right now, all the things in my calendar are like a hell yes. And it's such a gift to be working on things that I have worked and prayed and been focusing on for years that are now happening. So you will never hear me complain. And now I'm finding like this new sense of balance with, how do I infuse more fun? And I mean, even this party, right? Celebrating this and getting to hang out with all my favorite people. That's one way of making myself, because I'm sure we all could have, like, we could be home writing emails right now, but actually making myself pause to do something fun, and being around people feels really fun for me right now. So I want to know, just from each of you, what feels fun for you right now? It can be work.
I think I'm in the same mindset of trying to find balance, because like I'm a mom of 2 very small girls, and there is like all of like, I think for like the last 2 years, I was just in this like tunnel vision where I was like, I'm going to give all that I have to give to my business. But yet I had nothing to give to my home life when I got home. I was like dead. I mean, literally, when I say dead, I had very little to offer. And like, literally,
Relatable.
because like you were saying, like literally by the end of the day, I'd be like, I gave everything that I had to give. And then I would come home and be like, I've got nothing to offer these wonderful humans in my home, which a husband that I love desperately, and 2 small children that are like literally crazy, but my best friends. So it is. It's like this really insane, weird relationship you have with your children, but that's a whole other conversation. But so this year I was like, 1, I'm going to take care of myself. It's not all just business 24/7 grinding, because like Lindsay, when people ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I work. And then I'm like a mom, and I don't cook supper. So I'm technically kind of a wife, but I'm like, kind of not. I'm like, we eat a lot of toast and almond butter at night. But really, and I just want to be honest with you guys, because really, I don't want you guys ever to look at me. And I said, if I'm ever a leader, I will never fool a single woman into thinking that anything that I do is crisp and clean, because really it's not. Some days I'm like the most amazing mom. Other days I'm the most amazing business owner. Other days these days I prioritize being like present for my husband, because he's like, where do you live? I'm like, I live here, but technically I'm on Sage Aubrey universe. And I was like, I need to come back down from Sage Aubrey and like be present. And so this year, I feel like I'm even happier than I was like 4 weeks ago, because I literally set intention where I was like, I love what I do and it's my obsession, but I literally need to get re-obsessed with my husband, with my kid life, and reprioritize and get healthy again, because technically it wasn't healthy the way I was like grinding myself. But on the flip side of that, which we all know in this room, it was necessary. So I feel like you go through these ebbs and flows where you're like, I've got to kill myself, but now I need to rescue. And like, I feel like this is what we do as entrepreneurs. And finding that equilibrium, I don't know if it exists. And if it does, give me the crack pill because I will take it.
Hit us up if you have that solution. Thank you very much.
Give it to me.
Okay, Dar, what about you? What feels fun for you right now?
I love this question because I pick a word for the year and I'm like, I coach everyone, like, pick your word. It's going to be your anthem for the year. And the past years, I mean, it's been like thrive, all in. Last year I did do simplicity. But in August, this past August, my mom passed away. And she is my best friend and she is amazing. She's the ultimate. I oversee Pay It Forward for our country. Let me tell you, that lady was the ultimate Pay It Forward Secret Santa you could have ever met. And we had like 2 nickels to rub together, but she would always find a way to do these acts of kindness. And she enjoyed life so much. So she passes in August. And I had just before that, just a year before, had my 3rd stroke. So I preface that because by the time January came around and I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, setting my intentions for the year, I was like, frig this. My word for the year is fun. I was like, and for me and my schedule though, I haven't had a vacation technically in like 4 years, but I will say in our world that we live in, it's got to be what's for you. So my world is, I'm in sports and I'm in business. Well, there's no off season. Like when some of the players I coach, they get off season, that means another season is for me on another team or something. So I don't necessarily get off season, but I committed to say for myself, fun is spontaneous fun. So if something comes along, it could be an hour, it could be a weekend, it could be tomorrow, it'd be like, Dar, do you have like this weekend? I don't. But if you did, it'd be like, hey, this Sunday, do you want to do this? I'm like, yeah. Like Lululemon called. We're like, we have a softball event Sunday night. Will you be our coach? I'm like, I'm in. That's fun for me. So I just want you to know, when you set your intention though, truly, whatever that is, it really does happen. So I set fun for the year. I literally was speaking for Major League Baseball like 3 weeks. I don't know when that was, like whenever before Super Bowl was. And I'm speaking the week before. And I walk into this designer clothing place, amazing clothing place called Lola Dre. That's my shirt, plug for you. But I walked in and I just started having a conversation with the owners. I'm just like, hey, how are you? Literally, we started having a drink, sipping rosé, and then they turned around and they invited me. They said, would you come to, what are you doing for Super Bowl? Which I was supposed to be speaking at Super Bowl, but plans changed. And I said, well, I was supposed to be speaking there, but I think I'm coming back to Arizona. They're like, would you please come to Vegas for us and be like an influencer for our brand and do this event for us? And I was like, they're like, we'll fly you out there. Everything's taken care of. And I was like, this is spontaneous fun. I'm like, I am so in. They taught me how to play craps. I stayed up till 2:30 in the morning. I got to wear their beautiful clothes. I was like, what the hey? I was like, this is awesome. So my point is I can't necessarily schedule it, but I've committed to myself to say, whenever there's a spontaneous opportunity, I'm going to say yes to it. And it's already been so much fun. So.
Okay, anyone else like get something huge for themselves around that? Yeah, I like, it's just this season where even like longer vacations don't even sound appealing because it's like more stressful to take time away. But I love that part about like looking, and I think if we're looking for it, consciously like keeping our eyes open for the spontaneous opportunities to have some fun. And I'd be fine if someone was like, we'll fly you to Vegas and we'll do this. So
yeah. Be open to it.
Yeah, I love that.
And just like the other thing too is balance is all what you make of it. So I can't necessarily say, oh, this week I'm going to make sure that this happens. I go with the flow. And the moment I get an hour, a day, or a schedule change, I'm like, okay, power of the pause. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be in this moment. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's sitting for a second and just journaling. Maybe it's going to Vegas, maybe it's whatever, but find what's right for you, because sometimes it's pushed on us what we think balance or fun should be. It's what's for you.
Yeah.
Don't feel stressed about it.
I love that. Okay. Miss Aisha, other than your new home,
yes,
what's fun for you? I just remember like being a new homeowner and all I wanted to do was watch HGTV.
Right?
Are you there? Is that the season you're in?
I think I'm in a season where I feel so stressed out to have like the perfect room that I'm not even buying anything for the room because I'm like, I don't know. I might not want that next week. Or if I do want something, my husband knows me. He's like, do you think you'll want this next week? You know what? You're right. Let's wait on it. But speaking of new home, to piggyback off what Coach Dar said, when you set your intentions, they do happen. And I might have bitten off a little more than I can chew at the beginning of the year, but my intention was to be comfortable in being uncomfortable because I want to grow tremendously this year in every area of life and business. Well, uncomfortable is never comfortable. And like what that even means, God knows what. I'm like, yeah, I would like to be uncomfortable. And you have this idea, like maybe a little bit of stress here.
Like a cute uncomfortable.
Right, like stress, but like then a massage after. But like, no. I am uncomfortable, unfreaking comfortable in all areas. And so we just bought a home, savings uncomfortable. For anybody that knows, like once you buy a home, you're like, holy cow, where'd all my money go? To this new house. So just uncomfortable in business. That was my intention. And fun is like a hindsight thing with that, right? So like, I'll share a really brief story, but my husband and I have never owned a home before. And so we're like, cool, moving from an apartment, 1 bedroom to 4 bedrooms. I'm like, there's 1,000 empty rooms, including a kitchen with 1 table and no chairs. And so I'm like, this is great. We'll move in. It'll be great in our new home. And then day 2, the lights are off and then the water's off. And I'm like,
that totally happened to us too, by the way.
Where's my landlord and why hasn't he set my shit up? Right? Like, and so my husband's like, oh, let me call the people and have them turn it on. Okay. So like, that's fine. Then like the water was not, okay. So like electricity, get it. Water, get it, right? Easy. Then I'm like, why isn't the hot water hot? And I'm like, you know what? We just bought this house. We did the inspection and the hot water was hot last week. And now it's not hot and it's cold and the heater won't even go on. And I'm like, Mom, I don't know what happened. We just bought this house and it's not working. She's like, did you set up the gas? I'm like, where the fuck is my landlord? And why hasn't he set this shit up? So we had no gas for a whole week and we were taking cold showers thinking that the water heater broke or I don't know, whatever. He was like, I don't even know who to call for that. I'm like, me either. Google it. So in the moment, it's a hindsight thing, right? I can laugh. It was a fun experience. And now like our parents are like laughing at us like, what on earth? Like, I'm sorry we didn't tell you this.
We thought you were adults.
We thought you were adults, but clearly you're still apartment people. So that being comfortable in the uncomfortable, right? It's never fun while you're doing it. But now I can laugh and be like, yeah, we didn't have a water heater for a week, and I was taking cold showers. Like honestly, we used to call them this in college, a hoe bath.
She said it like so unsure of herself.
Where you like sprinkle water, not that I've ever done it, but the water was so cold that it was like, I don't want to get underneath. Let me just like get the soap
just
and
splash it a little bit
on me. So I definitely
more like a baptism.
I definitely hoe bath for a week.
You baptized yourself.
I
born
baptized
again.
myself for a week. I was born again on my first week of it.
Oh my God.
But I say all that to say, you know, our intention for the year was to be uncomfortable and to do things. Cam is like, my intention for the year, Cam is my husband, is a yes man. I'm going to say yes to everything, to try everything, to see what I like. And for me, I'm like, let's get uncomfortable. So here we are in a new home, not knowing a thing about anything, and being uncomfortable. And that story is an analogy to every other facet of my life right now. I set my intention to be uncomfortable and I'm very uncomfortable. So talk to me at the end of the year and I'll be like, I have a lot of funny stories to tell you.
I mean, that added a lot of fun to my world. So thank you. And yeah, we somebody, not naming names, me, forgot to like switch on the water in general. And we moved in like over a holiday weekend. So it was like 5 days, no water. Wow. Yeah. You really start to appreciate water when you have to like dump gallons into the toilet just to get it to flush. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so I could literally sit and talk to you all night. I could. And once people hear this episode, what will be just about to happen is early bird tickets for Powerhouse Women will be like about to be like expired. So the tickets go on sale. Those of you who are here live, they go on sale on Tuesday next week. Monday or Tuesday. Ask Hannah. She keeps my life together. Tuesday, right? Tuesday. Okay, thank you. But the early bird prices expire at the end of March. So by the time people hear this, when episode 100 airs, they'll have a couple more days to score like the hottest deal in town on that ticket. So I would love if each of you would share, just kind of like to wrap this up, how do you describe what the Powerhouse Women event is like to someone who's never been there?
Oh, wow. I think I came up to you after the event, or wrote you or called you or took you out for lunch. I'm not even sure what it was.
Probably all of the above.
All of the above. And I was like, I had no idea to the extent of the movement and an energy in a room. And I also told you, I was like, whatever I need to do to help support move this forward, I will, because I didn't realize the impact that you truly had and your gift until I was capable of seeing it in person. And I was sorry that I didn't get to see it the year before that we had met. But I almost felt as a friend foolish that I didn't realize your power that much until I saw you take full action. And I mean that in the most beautiful, kind, loving, generous way. Because I was like, wow, my friends are truly some of the most iconic, I have to say it, incredible women that I know. And it was a really emotional, I just want to say emotional, because I felt a lot of emotion when I saw you on stage. I felt a lot of emotion when I saw Mary on stage. For me to see you guys up there and doing what you guys do so effortlessly, what it looks like to all of us, but it's not, is so raw and kind and real. And the moment when you guys looked at each other before you went on stage, I was like, it was
bawling.
a really, yes. Yeah, it was a really emotional, beautiful moment. And I'm saying this because until you feel something, you don't understand the great impact of it. But when you walk into Powerhouse Women, it is transformational. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. I'm saying that because I went there and I experienced it and I felt something different when I walked out. And I love you for that.
Love you more.
Yeah.
Really, to piggyback off that, this past year was the first time that I got a chance to see it. And even though Lindsay had talked to me about it the year before, I couldn't make it, and we had talked about it. And then we got together and she's like, if you can, come by for the event. And so I went this year and I'm like, I got ready and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go down there. But again, I had no idea what to expect. Like I didn't know what I was walking into. So let me set this up if you're listening to this. You get in, and first of all, when you walk up, it is like this past year was the third year, right? Okay. It's as if it was the 15th year when you walk in, because it is epic. So it's Tessa who helped with, Matiana.
With all the design.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. It is epically gorgeous. It's so beautiful. From like an aesthetic, when you walk in, you feel like it hugged you when you walked in. And you feel hugged, you feel loved. And then the community of women there, everyone's just so happy to be there. And then obviously as Lindsay's friend, when I did that same moment, Sage, when I saw Lindsay, when she's going to about take the moment to walk up and take the stage, I was so proud of you. I was like a sister that I'm like, I wanted to hug you. I was like, can I just run up there and hug you while you're in the middle of this? I'm like, I'll chill. And I sat in the back row, by the way. I'm like sitting back in the back row. And then I took the whole day in, and I said to her after, I'm like, same thing. I had no idea. And again, I've been to events all over, but this event was so special. Again, I really believe it because light attracts light. And everyone that was in the room is because they were supposed to be in the room. So just energetically, the love in the room was so powerful. But Lindsay, like any great company or anything, it starts from the top. It started from your intention in your heart of what you set out. And the other thing is, there's no ego. It's getting out of the way to let something beautiful come together. And that's what you've created. And that's what Powerhouse Women is all about. And people leave more confident, more loved, more connected, on fire for life to say, like, damn, I'm not going to wait anymore to walk into my iconic Powerhouse Women self. And then there is a family that is united after that. And I think that's the other thing. You go to events and you leave and then that's it. But this is actually, you go to the event and then that's just the beginning, because it continues on. And that's what you've created, which is this community. And I love it. So I'm psyched for this year.
Well, this is just the biggest gift to hear, like, through the eyes and like through the view of the women that I respect so much. And Aisha, you actually spoke last year.
I did.
And that was your first time attending too. So how do you describe it to someone who hasn't been?
To someone who hasn't been, and I'm not saying this to be corny or any of those things. This is like, I'm being real right now. It's something that you don't know that you need. As a lot of really good things are, right? Like, you don't know when something happens and you're like, wow, I didn't know that I really needed that. It's almost like a sigh of relief. And I say that for two reasons. Every good best friend group or good relationship has like two things in common. The first thing is like, you all have inside jokes. And then when you get around other people and you like give them the eye, and then now you two are laughing, but like everyone else is not laughing. The Powerhouse Women community has inside jokes, and they're great. And so, speaking, one of my lines became an inside joke.
Yes, bitch, yes.
Yes, that's an inside joke, right? And so I didn't realize how strong the community was until people were like commenting on my post, like, yes, bitch, yes. And I was like, oh my God.
We need to make you a meme.
I do need to make a meme of that. And then the second inside joke is this, which I saw somebody just do in the back.
The hand tap.
The hand tap.
For those of you listening in audio.
Yeah. For those of you listening in audio, you raise your right hand up in the air really, really high, and then drop your two fingers in the middle just down.
Just a little tap tap. Yeah. Just a little tap tap.
And so that's what every like great friend group has, right? But what also every great friend group has is vulnerability. And there was this exercise that we did. And as a speaker, I was like, let me buy in. I could have sat in the green room the entire time and just waited and for them to be like, all right, you're up. But I was like, let me buy in. Let's sit down. Let me do what everyone else is doing. I mean, I'm here. Let me be a powerhouse woman. Woman. And this exercise was write down everything, like every negative thing you say about yourself. And I'll let you clean this up if I'm saying it wrong, Lindsay. Okay. Write down every negative thing that you tell yourself. Then you find somebody and then you read it out freaking loud. I
like saying it to that person.
Yes.
Just to make everyone really uncomfortable listening right now.
I am this because this, right? And I was like, well, I'll really write down, like, I'll take it serious. I'm bought in, right? I sat in the seats with everybody, so let me like write down, and then like, okay, find a partner, and then go tell the partner like all of the things. And I was like, I found one woman, bless her soul, and I told her every negative thing that I thought about myself, and I was crying, and I was like, I've never met you, and I don't know why I'm crying. And she was like, no, you are not. You are powerful. You are strong. That is not true. And I was like, you're right. It's not true. But first of all, no intention of crying. I just spent several $100s getting my makeup done to speak. And here I am, like, bawling.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Bawling at this exercise. And that is just one thing that just really helped me connect. I have no idea who this woman is. She told me what she felt, and I was just like, no, you're not. You're strong. And that set the tone for the whole day. I was bought in. I mean, I was there to speak, but now I'm like bought into this community of people who we have inside jokes. Now I feel like I'm connected to people and I'm helping uplift other people because we're not in this alone. We all feel negative things about ourselves that are not true. And so from somebody who was just there to talk and leaving with a community of people, it was something that I did not know that I needed.
I love that so much. And the reason I had them share that is because I can say it all day long just how special it is in that room. I remember I'm seeing like Carla sitting in the front row. She is our amazing event planner. And she's like, yeah, I didn't really get it until I like saw it for myself. I can say all day long how special it is in that room, but we can't impact your life unless you're there with us. So this is really like your invitation to join us, to plug into this girl gang. Don't worry, we'll tell you the inside jokes right away. This isn't like you don't get to know them or you have to like go through initiation. It really is one of the most supportive, encouraging communities of women you will truly ever find. And let me just say, I told a lot of people last year, okay, it was year 3, but to me it felt like year 1, meaning like the first 2 years were just ramp up. Like this was me actually doing this. And if you thought last year was something, just you wait. I'm not kidding. Like I'm not saying that just to like drum up excitement. Like I'm actually saying, just you wait to see what we have in store for this year. We found the venue. We're going to announce that this week. And we walked in and it just seeing the space from a vision that started. And I remember saying to Tessa, like, maybe I'll just have it like in my living room. Like I'll just invite like a couple people over. Maybe 20 will come. And now we're planning for over 700 women. Because this is not slowing down anytime soon, and we all need it. We're all looking for a place to connect and to remember that we're not meant to do business or life alone. So can we please have a round of applause for our panel? Thank you so much. And honestly, like, I cannot wait to continue this journey with all of you. So thank you so much for being here tonight.